Go. Alrighty. So when we dive into this, every day I'm sharing with you what we covered before. So this is what we covered yesterday in day 2. I covered your calm formula. So that's where we dove into rewriting your story so that you can create a new set point from which to create new breakthrough. Because we know everything that was once created was invisible. So we create from the unseen to the seen. And then I taught unconscious choice. That's how you get unstuck, re-energized, and using your time more wisely instead of living in a trance, in a reactive state, thinking you have no power on a daily basis when you do have choice. Then we covered the key to transform your emotions quickly so that when you feel stuck, you can get unstuck and not be dwelling in that place of anxiety or worry or hesitation. And then powerful daily habits to help you ingrain and maintain those healthy habits. And if you want to get your hands on any of that, it's in the replay. You should find it in your inbox. And if you aren't receiving them, please let me know. And let's hop into today. So what we'll cover today um, is 2 traps that I see keep people stuck, whether they're professional women or men, or maybe they're healthcare leaders like physicians and midwives that I work with. Maybe they're a leader in their company and they just feel like they're not as happy as they could be. It's usually because they're in one of these 2 traps. And then we're going to look at 10 secrets. Actually, there's more that healthy, happy, and wealthy leaders are utilizing and implementing on a regular basis. And it's part of how they keep their emotional state regulated so that they're not thrown off course and they can stay happy or at peace and focused on what really matters every day. And then we'll cover some strategies to overcome resistance and get meaningful work done, or sometimes just get it off the ground, right? You've been thinking about it for a long time. Now's the time to start. These strategies will help you leverage your challenges, jumpstart your motivation, and accelerate your progress. So I can't wait to get going. Let's dive in. So the first trap that keeps people stuck is unhappiness. And sorry, yes, that does keep people stuck, but what keeps people stuck in unhappiness is busyness. Now, busyness is also a great excuse for not dealing with things, not looking under your own hood or under the covers into what's happening in your heart or in your mind to find out the root of why there's resistance and why you're not getting something off the ground or why you're not finishing it, why you're not allowing yourself to be as happy or as prosperous or as connected in your relationships as you want to be, can often be found in this, can be related back to this trap of busyness. So, busyness is also respected. In our culture, society honors people who are busy, and it feels meaningful to be stressed out and to be swamped with work because people view you as successful. Put your hand up or put your just a little smiley face in the chat if you feel like that's really true for you. Maybe even part of what drives you um, and feels like either it drives you because you get accepted by people when you're busier, or you can maybe accept yourself more when you're busier and you feel uncomfortable when you're not busy because you're not doing. And so maybe that means that you're not as important as other people. Maybe other people will judge you if you're less busy and have the simple life that would be fulfilling for you. So make sure you're tracking with me in the chat. This is one of my clients. I wanted to share her story with you because it totally relates to busyness. Her name is Naz, and she's the founder of 50th Parallel Public Relations. It's a creative communications company here on Vancouver Island. Um, what she said, she wrote this story for me, was that she found herself overwhelmed by the hundreds of hours of work she was committed to, and yet still had really big dreams. And she knew that if she wanted to achieve those dreams, she needed to partner with someone who she could share her vision with. And that's when Naz and I met. She's such an incredible woman. We planned out her future. She says, I got organized and then learned how to trust instead of trying to control the outcome. Flash forward 7 years, and I feel so much more empowered. I've grown my staff, expanded my offices, and now I work with over 30 First Nations communities. Using my challenges to help others find their voices has been incredibly fulfilling work. Amy lifted me during those challenging times when I didn't believe in myself, saw my light and potential, and gently nudged me in the direction I find myself in today. Now, Naz has told me she doesn't mind me using her story. And so I wanted to make sure that I shared the deeper side of her story. And that's that the home that she grew up in, they immigrated to Canada, and her parents valued work so much that she never felt like what she was doing was enough. And that was at the root of her basically workaholism. And she would never have titled herself a workaholic because she loved her work. So put your hand up in the chat if you love your work and it makes you happy. That's a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's really good to love our work. But we know we have a problem if it's hard for us to flip the off switch. And it was definitely hard for Naz to flip the off switch. And it stopped Naz from being able to go for walks with her dog and just have downtime with her husband and be able to make time for her own health while in tandem growing her company, which she still wanted to do. And she's got amazing dreams that are coming to fruition with the speaking side of her business now, too. So we don't need to stop growing or like dampen or dumb down our dreams just so that we can have both sides of our desires, both sides of the coin, like health, happiness, and prosperity and impact. We can have it all. And in order for Naz to be able to get there and create that, we needed to get to the root, which is what we've done over the last 2 days, of what stops us or perpetuates unwanted habits, like not being able to turn your off switch off. And hers was realizing that I can't accept myself unless things are done perfectly. And I have to always control the situation in order for me to feel relaxed inside. So once we got to that root, then she had the clarity. And remember, clarity is power. When you have clarity, you can do something about the inside to change the outside. So that's when we dove into planning out her future and helping her get organized and using boundaries in her thought life, in her emotions, in her relationships, and in her time use to be able to be more effective and happier. The second trap that keeps people stuck is self-reliance. Now, remember when I was telling you my story where I isolated myself to try and solve my problem, and mine at that time felt like my problem felt like lack of income. The trap that kept me stuck from being able to experience abundant income was not having anyone on my team. And interestingly enough, whether you're here with me live or whether you watch this replay, I was working with a coach at the time, and I didn't even share my struggles or my thoughts that were truly lies, limiting thoughts. I didn't even share them with her. And because I was so blind to the fact that the thought, like Kiki said the other day, wasn't truth. I was so convinced that my thought was truth that I didn't bother to bring it up with her. And I relied on myself to know all the answers, to have all the solutions. And I've got such a strong work ethic that I just pushed through. Another one of those strategies that does not help you decrease your stress, right? Doesn't even help you um, be more effective or efficient with your time pushing through. It actually leads to exhaustion. So self reliance will sabotage your progress. It will prolong defeating feelings, hopelessness, and unwanted stress, even if stress is at a 2 in your life and pretty much everything is going really well, but you're not talking to anyone about that 2% of your life that's not going well, then you don't get to gain insight from people. None of your thoughts are challenged. So you believe everything in your head instead of vetting your thoughts for the ones that are healthy and helpful. And you don't get to shorten your learning curve because you find out new strategies or creative ideas from others. So whether you are talking with a mentor and a coach, or whether you're talking with friends who can be objective about your situation and not pulled into your emotional story about it, or whether you're talking with your spouse or God, we need to be in community, not in isolation. Nothing was ever created in isolation. So I promised you I would tell you how to overcome resistance and procrastination. So here's a few of the steps I use. I remind myself that I always have a choice and I have the power inside me to create what I want. Remember yesterday when we were talking about conscious choices? If we are not making conscious choices, then we can easily think, I can't do anything about this. I just have to settle for that. Oh, I want to spend more time with my family, but work's too busy right now, so I can't. Well, careful what you think because you might believe it. We all have the power inside us to create what we want. So, giving yourself a pep talk, research tells us that what we hear us say about ourselves, we believe. So, dive into it. Utilize that. Speak truth over yourself. Remind yourself that it's safe to take the step. Usually, why we face any kind of resistance at all, one of the common reasons is because we feel somehow unsafe and we're more committed, almost like, yeah, married to a comfortable hell than an uncomfortable heaven. So remind yourself it's safe to take the step. It's good for you and others. It's not just good for you, it's good for your family if you get uncomfortable sometimes. And then in the book, I talk about proactive patience. When we practice proactive patience, the big difference here is we're not waiting for change. We're doing what we can with what we have. And then when we do that, it creates increase. And what we desire to see more of grows because we're investing in that. We're being patient, but at the same time, we're being proactive with what's in our control. Instead of, like in Naz's story, trying to control everything, which I think is a fairly human trait. And a lot of us don't know we're doing it. I know that I was blind to when I was doing it in my marriage, doing it with my kids with the best intentions, doing it with my finances, trying to have control. It just leads to an anxious state of living and operating, which takes away your ability to enjoy. So, anyways, I'm going a little bit off track there, but maybe someone needed to hear that. And then take one messy, trusting, loving step. Remember, we can practice being an anxious person or we can practice being a trusting person. So you get to consciously choose, what am I practicing? Because that's what you're going to get good at. One of my clients, she is a midwife, past clients, and I first heard from her because she was referred to me by a friend and another past client. And she said she was feeling anxious and it was keeping her up at night and it stopped her from being present with her girls. And she was really frustrated because she's naturally a happy and joyful person, quite gregarious. And so she was pretty baffled. And when we dove into things, I found out more about her dreams. She wanted to be able to work in her as a healthcare leader. Again, she'd been off for a couple years, but she didn't want to sacrifice her health anymore. Healthcare leaders are often up in the middle of the night, and it's just common. No one ever rarely complains about it. And usually just people suck it up. That's just the way that it is. But we always have a choice in our lives, right? So we looked at what is it that was making her feel anxious. And when we got to the root of her situation, it was that I'm the giver. I'm more comfortable giving help and support than receiving it, and I'm not worthy of it. Interesting, hey? So you can see how she would resist receiving help and she would resist and procrastinate um, the process. There's a lot of red tape for her to create. She ended up opening a new office space with and offering completely new healthcare delivery model. Super exciting. And she procrastinated on some of the steps because of that self-esteem piece. So let's tackle the low self-esteem so that it can unleash motivation, fire, and action that are in alignment with your goals. I feel like I want to, before I move forward into this next slide, I'd like to, one, let my dog in because she's at the door again. And two, I'd like to hear any questions that are coming up because we have time and I'm covering a lot quickly. So put them in the chat if you have those questions, and I'm going to answer some of them right now. Okay, I'll be right back. And Daria, welcome. See you joined us.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm just at work, so I'm
No worries.
popping in. Thank you.
I think a lot of people can resonate with Naz, Kiki. The self-acceptance piece is key to alleviate the feeling that we need to do more. Because if we need to do more, then we're proving something, right? Kiki says, I love the question of what am I practicing when all is okay and I might feel a ping of anxiety. This totally makes sense. But when I'm feeling overwhelmed with anxiety or emotion, I may be practicing trust, but it's hard when your body isn't catching up. Any tips for this? I try to simply trust that my practices will support me over time and be patient to see the benefits, which is working, but would love other tips. Okay, so patient to the benefits. Okay, so patience is working. That's good. And let me read your question again. When all is okay and I feel a ping of anxiety, it makes sense. But when I'm feeling totally overwhelmed with anxiety, I may be practicing trust. Okay, so one thing that works for me right away is what I'm about to share in those 10 secrets, but I'll share it with you right now. And one of them is doing like surrendering and releasing. So doing trades, Kiki, make trades all the time. Now I do this with God because you guys know that that spiritual relationship is really important to me. Um, but you could literally like make a trade in the air, like, okay, pause. I'm noticing I'm totally freaking out. I'm really overwhelmed right now. Something just triggered me. um, as you start noticing everyone, you'll get more and more self-aware and be able to land on the truth of, oh, there's the old thought that I worked on with Amy last week, and it's that I have to have all the answers and I have to know what to do, whatever it is, you know? And so that's the lie. I don't have to have it all together. I'm not the one in ultimate control. How could I know all the answers? Um, and then I would ask for what's the truth to replace that lie. So we'll get, I'll talk more about that in the next slide. Any other questions that are coming up right now before I move on? Like, for example, in the workplace, when someone says something, even if it's with a tone, but they didn't even use words that would trigger someone else, but they triggered you, and then it gets you feeling really poorly about yourself, or um, it probably like confirms something that you believe about yourself, but is not conscious. Like, there's something wrong with me, or um, I'm not enough, or people don't respect me, or I have no good ideas. And then someone says something, or they don't even ask you for your idea at the team meeting. And that just them not doing anything or not saying anything confirms to you, I'm not important. My voice doesn't matter. What I have to say isn't as important as what other people have to say. And then that creates sadness in you or anxiousness. um, I'm not going to be able to have the opportunities that I want in this company now. Oh, and you get rolling with this story in your head, right? Whereas if you can step back and practice being objective and going, oh, okay, here's this story in my head instead of this is ultimate truth. Then, if necessary, you can have a conversation with that person. In this scenario, it wouldn't really make sense, but you could have a conversation with someone else to sort it out and say, I know it's not rational, but this is how I took it. And I want to change that cycle. Okay, so I'm going to read the chat here. Michelle, guilt is one of the things I struggle with. Not doing. Got cut off. Not doing. Okay. Um, mm-hmm. One thing that helped me with that is seeing guilt as a green light instead of a red light. Like, okay, when I feel guilty, stop doing the thing that's good for me. Instead, I feel guilty, green, keep going, because it's just change and my body's adjusting to that change. It's not that it's a bad thing or an unsafe thing. And then trying to, in the moment, it's a bit more challenging to do this, but at the end of the day, it's possible. What are all the good things that happened when I kept going, even though I felt guilty? For me and for others, my spouse, my team. Kylie, wow, all these examples right now are feeling them all the time right now. You're feeling them all the time. Good. Glad you guys are feeling seen. Um, Not doing enough for others, especially when there's a window in my busyness. Right. Um, it sounds like we work together already, so it I know some background into this, but what's coming up for me is um, a false responsibility. Sorry, not doing enough further. Okay. Gurmi, how do you know the truth if the truth you believed your whole life is a lie or you don't know what you don't know? Um, for me, just in all honesty, um, two things help. Having a mentor that I can have these conversations with, um, and two, because otherwise I don't know what I don't know. And my friends aren't trained coaches or specialists in these areas, so I can't go to my friend for them, and plus I'd be going to them more often than they want. You know? um, and the second thing I wanted to say is I take time, so I stop being so busy and I take time to notice the myriad rainbow number of people who are living a different truth than I am. And I go, I don't have to live this way. There are many different truths I could choose to believe, and they're choosing to believe a totally different truth than me. It's a choice. And we're impacted by the people around us, Gurmi, and then that creates that stamp, that nervous system imprint that we've been resetting, which is why it's really important to connect the emotions, the body, the thoughts, and then our physical habits and our actions on a daily basis, not just change the habit to get new result. Okay, let's hop back into those slides. So let me just read this one last one. Is it to look for the evidence, Kylie says, that the lie was the truth? So if you think one thing, what evidence do you have that it's true? If no evidence, then it's the lie. You and I are going to have time together already, so let's dive into that. Great question, Kylie. Um, but when you're creating new truth for yourself, you do need new evidence, just like the computer is on a table. The table has legs. Your new belief needs legs, evidence to support it as a new truth. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go. So weird. Because watch this. Okay, I'm gonna move forward. You didn't see that, did you? That switch I
Nope.
just made. Okay, that's okay. I will just see if share it a different way. Alrighty. So here's the 10 secrets. I mean, I could have kept going, you guys. There's so many good ones, but these were the most important that I could think of. 10 secrets that healthy, happy, and wealthy people know and practice. So they make conscious choices not to worry. And this becomes habitual as you practice. Instead of worrying, they ask for help from God, source, friends, family, coaches, mentors, their team. They get other people on board instead of trying to carry the whole world on their shoulders and know all the answers. They choose to let go of control. They choose to surrender and release what causes stress and worry instead of being the responsible one who solves all the problems. You were never meant to carry that. They trust. They practice trusting. They ask for insight, guidance by turning to God or tuning into the heart, intuition, and asking for the next step. So, in in my story, this was crucial because, ideally, I'd like to have all 10 steps known ahead of time before I take action, as maybe you can relate. So, um, put an exclamation point if you can relate to wanting to have control. Put it in the chat. Um, but really, your key is to just ask for your next step. I remember one time I was walking the beach and I was having a conversation with God, and I said, "What is my next step? What do you want me to be focused on?" And I felt like I could feel God laugh. And I heard, "Amy, I already gave you your first step. Do that one first." And I knew what step it was. It's just I didn't want to take that one. I wanted to fast forward to the next step. But God's kind and funny. And so I was just reoriented to back to the first step. All we need is the first step. And then the second step and the third step will become clear. But you got to stay moving. Moving and trusting is key. Here are more secrets. They set firm boundaries and remove unhealthy, porous, that's meant to say porous boundaries to protect their peace. So they do that in their thoughts, their emotions, their relationships, how they relate to money, with their time. Firm boundaries where needed, and more flexible boundaries where needed. They get thankful because they trust that what they want will happen. What you want or better is what you can create. So getting thankful before that happens is really key to managing your emotions and staying in a place where you can have a great level of energy and joy. So they have a vision for the future that they keep near to revisit often. If we don't have a vision, something in us shrivels and can die. So we need to fan the flames of the vision and desire that we have within us and know that the desires of your heart are good. It's not like following them is going to change you into some sort of version of a person you don't want to become. They just will make you better and will make everyone else's experience around you better. And they will inspire other people. You will inspire other people by acting on your heart's desires. So they have a plan focused on using their strengths to make life fun, easier, and light while making the greatest impact. They surround themselves with community and support. They work from, not towards abundance. They prioritize solving other people's problems and offering value over money making. Problem solving and value over money making. They find their value and self acceptance from within rather than from money, work, others' opinions of them. So they find their identity from who they are, not from what they create or from other people. Those things are shaky and unreliable. Where you put your trust determines how quickly it will run out. Where you put your trust determines how quickly it will run out. So be careful where you put your trust. Remember, I showed you some of the testimonies of clients that I'd work with. And I wanted to show you again so that you could remember anyone can make any transformation possible, whether it's family focused, health focused, money focused, career focused. It's possible. These clients come from really different areas of life and professions, from artists to lawyers to coaches and speakers to doctors to professionals. It's possible no matter what kind of work you're in. So I'm going to stop the screen share and I'm going to open up for discussion and possibly for coaching. We will see because we have 15 minutes left. I want to feel free to unmute if you have a question you'd like my help with. And oops, I'm going to grab a link for those of you who would like to find out. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to grab that link for you still, but I want to help you up your motivation to create change by getting you to, if you feel like doing this, to write down the answers to some questions. So I'm going to ask you those questions instead of sharing the slides with you. The first question is, what's the cost to me, to my family, to my colleagues or customers, to the community if I don't change what I'm doing right now? If I don't make the changes that have become clear over the last 3 days, what's the cost? This is going to put some clarity, creates purpose, right? And power. So I'll write it in the chat. What's the cost I have to pay? Like, what about how will not changing impact my family? What will life look like at the end of 2024? Honesty is helpful. Honesty with self. If you want, you can enter your answers into the chat or you can save them for yourself. If you've identified many things, then I'm glad we're talking, but maybe you can just share one of them. And you're not alone if you've identified many areas where you'd like to create change. That's good. I'm right there with you. There's usually 4 P's that I'm working on. One's professional, one's play, um, one's people, and the other one. Anyway, there's multiple areas of my life where I set goals. Okay, so Kiki's saying that she'd probably be a lot less present. Okay, Daria's saying that her self-esteem will be lower if she's not invested and doing the work to make positive impact happen. You guys, I was walking out of my driveway yesterday after class number 2, and I was on cloud 9 or maybe 10 or 11 because I was on such a high. I had such a good time with you all, and it just feels so fantastic to be of service and to be using my skill set to help, right? And to be telling the stories to inspire. And so I totally relate, Daria. Hmm. Right. So maybe worst case scenario is things get worse than they are right now. That's horrible to think of, but it could happen if you do nothing to change. Better case scenario is you're living with the same discomfort, unhappiness, lack of fulfillment, whatever it is. Let's talk about the better scenario. So I'm going to put that question. What are the benefits of doing the work and creating change? How would my relationship with my maybe my spouse or my kids or my team improve? Curious to hear your thoughts on that. How would my financial situation improve? What would my career look like? And then a good overarching question is, how good could it get? Kiki says she would be experiencing deeper relationships, more trust, higher levels of confidence, less worry and anxiety, more abundance. I just felt like I was stirring it into a pot. Yeah. Yeah. Heather says she would be discovering solutions. I mean, that feels fantastic to discover solutions. My husband had some wise words for me the other day. He said I was feeling like I probably was feeling anxious. And so my natural unconscious reaction was to push harder. Surprise, surprise, push harder. And I told him how I was feeling in the moment. And he said, sounds like now would be a good time to stop and go and enjoy yourself. I was like, oh, exactly what I should be doing. And then I felt the resistance. And I took his advice because I knew it was exactly what I needed to do. But it gave me the opportunity to throw the weight of my energy onto faith and trust, and then get close to God again. Because when we're anxious, we think that it's up to us to solve the world's problems, or up to us to um, bring in all the income, or up to us to solve all our clients' problems, or whatever. Unrealistic expectations of ourselves create a lot of anxiety and remove us from the solutions that come just very naturally and easily when we're calm. Sunshine, she says, what if you're doing the changes, but the improvements are not what you think they should be? Because we can only be in control of our own selves. How to relay that to your spouse? Yeah, they're hard to control, hey? I've never found it pays off. um, uh, okay, I'm gonna read your question again. If you're doing the changes, but the improvements are not what you think they should be, it sounds like maybe you and I might want to tap into boundary setting, and also expectations of yourself, and also strategies for effective communication. I love, 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 love communication strategies.
Yeah, I could definitely. My daughter's been helping me with some of that, but yeah, we can definitely. That's
Okay. All right.
I think
So I
something that
am
we can
going,
work on.
yeah, we will make our appointment for sure. I'm going to share with you there in the chat now. Copy and paste that in a new browser. For all of you who are on the live calls, everyone who watches the replays and couldn't attend the live calls, or maybe you're finding this later in the future, um, you are welcome to apply for a strategy session with me. It's okay if you didn't win one of these 3 days. Um, I would love to support you if I have time. So apply early, and you're more likely to be able to snag that time with me. I'm very helpful at getting to the root of a challenge quickly, and also helping you take a vision or a dream and make it actionable, which is so fun and empowering because then you have a plan. So let me go back to the last couple slides I want to share with you before we wrap up. And I wanted to leave you with this reminder that when you have insight, it's great. But unless you couple it with behavior change, then you won't see transformation. So ensure transformation by taking one insight that you had from this training and aligning your behavior with the new insight. Because when you have insight plus behavioral change, you're guaranteed transformation. And let me leave you with this invite to book that session with me. You can apply with the link that I put in the chat. And I'm also sharing the opportunity to join a community that I'll be starting in the next couple weeks. It's called Powerful Leader. And I'm going a little bit about it. We're going to be meeting twice a week, twice a month. And you can either pay monthly or you can pay up front and save a good chunk. If you're interested in finding out about the program more after I give you a description, I'm happy to share with you one-to-one. We can book time for that as well to ask your questions. So the 3 areas that we'll be working on are transforming your self-talk, your mindset, and helping you become aware of what you don't even know is happening in there. So that, when you feel stuck, we can get to the root of it quickly instead of you spinning your wheels. The second area is helping you develop strong relationships. So in that department, it could be relationships that you want to improve with your spouse, with your team at work, maybe with your children, whether they're young or adults. And we dive into communication strategies. We dive into setting healthy boundaries to protect your own peace, not keep the peace. That's very different. To protect true peace and value and respect yourself. When you value and respect yourself, other people value and respect you more. Where the boundary setting piece is key when it comes to developing a healthy and a happy and optimistic and confident mindset. We need to vet our thoughts before we believe all of them. So we need to set boundaries in the mind. But also we need to, like I was talking about on that slide, one of the secrets of healthy, wealthy, happy people, we need to also have more flexible boundaries when we're keeping out experiences that are good for us, like free time, or when we're keeping out experiences that are good for us, like help. Wouldn't that be nice? More support. So sometimes our boundaries are too firm and we need to loosen them. I'll show you how to do that. And the third area, the third pillar of this group coaching program is helping you overcome the resistance and any kind of procrastination that's showing up in your life so that you can dive into meaningful work and create the impact that you want. So that's all about starting what's important to you and then finishing what's important to you as well. I almost didn't even finish my first book because I was telling myself a lie that it wasn't important for people to read it. That's like, what? So I almost didn't finish publishing the book. So I'll help you start what's important and it's been a dream of your heart for a long time, or maybe finish what's important that needs to get finished. So a big bonus plus of community is accountability. And also I'm going to be always loving and warm, coming from a place of support, but I'm going to challenge you as well. And how many people in your life do you have who will actually challenge you in love? When we're challenged, we are stretched out of our comfort zone, but only as much as you want to stretch out of your comfort zone. So I'll help you do that, like the 1 to 2 reps that you don't think are possible. And then you surprise yourself and you're like, wow, look what I did. And one thing that you're going to be guaranteed is you're going to be able to create a life that's filled with more peace, more joy, and more accomplishment. because we're meant to be able to enjoy our lives, and we're created so that we can be a blessing and a gift to others. And whether that's through volunteer work, paid work, or in your family life, I want you to have the opportunity to feel fulfilled personally and professionally. And that's what this program's all about. So if you know you want one of those spaces and you want to accelerate your progress and save time, then talk to me about it. The cost is $500 monthly, or there's an opportunity for you to save a good chunk if you pay up front. So we can talk about that too. All right. Thank you everyone for being on here live with me. Look, it's 12 o'clock on the dot, at least on my computer. Please unmute and share with me a key insight or something that you're thankful for, something that you know is going to be just dropping in even deeper over the days to come. And then I'll share with you homework for today.
Okay, I think I just like the cost, like, figuring out what the cost is. Like, what is the cost if I do it? What is the cost if I don't do it? So that's, yeah,
Great.
kind of my takeaway from today.
Great. And if you want to put it in the chat too, you can do that instead.
I think for me, your statement of if I don't make the changes today or make the changes I need to do, nothing changes. So that's kind of what speaks to me. Nothing will change if I don't make that first move.
Yeah, the picture that I got when you were saying that, Michelle, is of me sometimes when I do cold dips in the ocean. And um, and how when I'm going in, I don't want to waste a second slowly walking into the freezing cold water in the winter. I want to run in. It's like uh, the book You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. He talks about busting through the fear barrier. And so that's a good reminder to have in the back of your head. Nothing's going to change unless I do. And then you just run in. You run through the fear barrier because it's the way through, right? And once you are on the other side, you're like, oh yeah, that was freaking cold, or really uncomfortable to have that conversation, or whatever that fear barrier represented. But I'm alive. It didn't kill me, I'm on the other side. Kiki says the question, what am I practicing, is a great reminder. She can't wait to take some time to create an affirmation printout for her wall. You're welcome, Kiki. Yes, I will email homework. Actually, let me just tell you right now, the homework for today, because for those of you who are following along, I have a surprise for the person who does all 3 days of homework. I'm going to choose one person who sends me all 3 days of homework, and you can get the homework in the emails as well as that has the replay of each day. So the homework for today is to choose one of those strategies for overcoming resistance and procrastination, or one of those 10 secrets that I shared that healthy, wealthy, happy people practice. And so choose it. It's going to be your heading for your homework. And then tell me all the different possible ways you could start utilizing that strategy or that secret to help you make progress in one area that's most important to you. So choose a strategy for overcoming procrastination or speeding up your progress, one of those 10 secrets. And then all the different, just do a download brainstorming session, maybe set your timer for 10 minutes, however long you want to spend on this, and write down all the different ways of how you could utilize that to create a new outcome that you're craving and save time. Yay.
Awesome. I'm so sorry. I gotta run, but I loved this so much, Amy. Thank you so much for your time over the past 3 days. And I'll definitely email you my homework later this afternoon.
You bet. Thanks, Kiki. Great to
You're
have you.
welcome. Bye, y'all. Great to see y'all.
So any other questions that I didn't get to that were like burning that I'm sure I missed some in the chat. Thanks, Heather. And Kylie's out of here. Bye, Kylie. Thanks for joining,
Amy. I'll
Heather.
connect with you.
Sounds good. Bye, sunshine. Everybody have a great day and lots of love to you. And I look forward to seeing some of you in the group program and having those strategy calls. So I'll see you soon.